G'day all. I just thought this was interesting, just really strange. I got my tax receipt back from the government from my tax that I paid last year. And the last financial year, I paid 12 grand in tax to those thieves in the tax department. And I received 4 grand back. And that includes 6 grand of declarations that I had to make as well for my own business and whatnot. But ended up getting $4,000 back. But they ended up keeping 7 grand. And I found it interesting that they actually sent something for the first time. I've never seen this before, of where the money went in ratio terms. And the two things that I'd just like to sort of point out, apart from everything else, is the unemployment, where the money went to for there, as well as transport and communication, where the money went to in there in terms of a ratio. And I started thinking to myself, well, okay, $199, that's not that much out of that 7 grand that they ended up keeping from my tax. They gave a fella $199. That's almost $250. That's almost a week's unemployment check for one fella over a whole financial year. Not much, but let's have a think about this in terms of a ratio. Obviously, this money, they developed this in terms of a ratio, saying, okay, there's so many billions of dollars worth out of that 7 grand, that percentage that I paid is da, and therefore da-da-da. So I did a couple of calculations, not very good at this rubbish, but, get it right. So out of my tax return and the ratio that they got, 35 to 1, which is 2.8% for these dole bludgers. Not much, albeit from 100%. And then I had a look at the transport, 42 to 1, 2.38. Now, I drove past the Southeastern Freeway down in Adelaide today, and I saw a sign from the new development that they just made the other side of it. Is something like 600 billion was spent creating this. So out of that transport money, 600 billion was made from, that figure. So my contribution was was that amount in a ratio, of course, $166 of my money going into it. But then I sort of thought to myself, well, okay, if that's the case, then these dole bludgers up here, that percentage there, that 600 billion that was gone into that Southeastern Freeway, that 600 billion of that percentage that they're also getting, that's really large money for people that have no interest in working. Now, I can understand down here, disability, you're disabled, you can't work. That's fine, I get that. You have families, young kids, I get it, understand. Aged, they can't work, they're, unemployed right here. What is this? Unemployed. They refuse to work and they do not want to work. So therefore they become, a dependent on the system. And I understand they have to have this, otherwise we'll end up like America and have all these homeless people. Not saying we don't, but the figures that are going out is just absolutely ridiculous. And to see where the money's going as such, and how much I received back and how much I paid, and every year it's 12 grand instantly just gone. But of course 7 grand's gone, but I'll get back rah-rah. But where does the point start going where, okay, we can't support these guys anymore? And if anybody else knows the roads in South Australia, they're absolutely terrible. Like that figure down there, if that's where the money's going, I don't know, I just assume. If that's where the money's going, I hate to think, in comparison. So every 10 years we get a new bit of road made in somewhere in South Australia. But why is that? If we could almost double that, every 5 years we get a new piece of road, or new bit of road updated, or the council goes a little bit further with something. 199, man. That ratio of 2.8%, we're talking billions for the budget that they make up every year, and they factor in these clowns not working. 2.8. They receive more than what our transport does. Better money could be spent in defence, in defence. Or helping the youth of Australia just get their shit together. Or getting rid of this. Our debt. 320 billion got down to 257 billion. Is Labor just throwing money away? And then as soon as the Liberals got in, we started making some major changes to the debt pool. Interesting. If anybody else is paying more than 12 grand a year, which I know a lot of Australians are, I feel for you, man. Because I'm having a look at this and I'm tearing up. $199, that's a joke. That's some clown's wage for 1 week. I paid for him to sit on his ass and do nothing. Yeah.